One more video. This will be number 5. I'm going to go into Buzz's face a bit more, a little bit more about finishing touches. So I just wanted to show you, this is a 70% cool gray pencil. This is how you can use these. I'm actually just lightly and gently creating a blend in the darkest part of his cheek, the dimple. I can put an edge on the nose because I'm in drawing mode. See, it's nice because you have the edge and the capacity to put an edge in with a pencil. Gives you a little bit more control. And here I'm actually going to do the same thing. Now there's a trick here. There's kind of like a sharp fold of skin that comes around. So I'm going to do a soft blend out on one side, like that, and then to counterbalance that and really hide the fact that I just put pencil in there, and I'm checking this. You can see my blender is stained. That will happen. It will stay stained, but it actually doesn't put any tone down. I'm going to blend that pencil. Good thing to just keep checking your blender and your light markers before you work in a dark, or rather a light area. Make sure you're not just going to put a big blob of dark tone in. And just by doing that, you can see I'm getting more contrast and more sense of the muscle in the face pulling over the top. Same thing here. Now I could do this all with marker, but I just want to show you how you can actually start blending the pencil in a bit. Just don't overdo the pencil. Don't turn it into a color pencil illustration. That's not really what we're after. We want to maintain a nice balance of the two media. So here, what I'm going to do, I actually pushed it a little farther just to show you. I wanted to create that kind of dark, narrow shadow. I can actually blend out using the blender and actually make that pencil just look like it's part of the marker, like I didn't even put any pencil work in here. I'm going to switch to the wide end of the marker. One thing I will recommend is if you hear my marker snap, I'm actually pushing that tight if you don't do it, because I noticed I didn't do that on a couple of my markers in between videos, and they start to dry out if that's not sealed tight. Just a reminder, your markers will last longer. So now I'm going to blend across the edge of that transition zone, and this should look really familiar. It looks like the sphere render, or even a little bit like the cone. Now I build that core shadow again. I'm actually coming in with the 70 again, and I'm going to repeat that process. And I'll just keep using the same technique. It seems to be working pretty well. Lightly blend, and just, I could even try and smear a little bit. That's kind of risky though, because hard to control. That takes that last bit of pencil and gets it to break up. Actually, I got lucky there, it worked. Then, reflected light. I do like to exaggerate it a little bit just to make the back side of the face here, the left side, pop off the far side of the chest. Again, it's the illustrator in me that wants to exaggerate tones a little bit. This is a CGI piece, so there is quite a strong reflected light that they have added in along the side of the face. So I feel justified in going in there and actually doing this. He is an animated character, and he's stylized to begin with, so to me it just fits. And right about there, I'm pretty happy with that. I know I get a nice roundness to that big chin he has. Now the eyes, same issue as with Jesse. Their base tone is white, therefore I have to be careful. I'm going to take this blender, which has a little bit of tone left in it, do a core shadow and leave the rest of the eye white. Same thing here, I'll just repeat this. Put a little bit of a core shadow in. The core shadow in this case is going to be no darker than 10%. So we're really being very careful, conservative. So here's the 10 coming in. it'll dry a bit lighter. I'll do that. And then just to make sure I get a smooth blend, a little bit of white pencil across, blend it back over. Maybe even put a little bit of reflected light in there and see if that helps. I kind of like that. And I'm going to leave that at that point. And I'm actually going to go around the eyes now. Fine tip of the marker. I still have a pencil line that shows. I'm actually going to use that and make it part of the illustration. Put a stroke over it, because you can actually see a slight gap in this render. So when they did this as a wireframe, these are two spheres that they literally embedded in the larger shape of the head. And they're actually two separate objects, and that's why they look separate, because they're two different materials. And really, in the world of CGI render, that's exactly what they do. They extrude things into each other or out of each other, and that's how you get two materials that are kind of attached to each other, but they're still separate. Cars are made the same way, by the way. You look at all the things they have inside a headlight now. There could be 17 different materials packed together. They're not literally molded together. They are simply pushed right up against each other. But they are different. So they have different lighting characteristics, and you got to be sensitive to it if you're doing, say, a close-up render of a headlight. All the different types of plastic. So here on this face, we're actually dealing with multiple types of plastic that we're looking at. There's subtle differences, more than what you would see in a car headlight. So I've got to kind of work with that and get the variation to show. I'm going to put a shadow on the upper lip. And how do I show roundness of that lower lip? It's basically white, highlight, and then we're going to put a little bit of a shadow across the teeth. Just by doing that, the teeth suddenly have dimension. Isn't that marvelous? Just the wonders of what a cast shadow can do. But I like to soften that a little bit. And I like to soften the light on the lip. So I lost a little bit of the sharpness of the highlight on the lip. To bring that back, I'm going to sharpen my white pencil. And I'm going to come back in and actually reintroduce the highlight. Part of this is the paper is just wet right now. So if I lift it, you can kind of see it gets a little brighter. Kind of tells me that some of that's just the wetness of the paper. A little hit of light right there. Just kind of punch things up a little. It's actually a secondary shape that kind of comes out like that. And so here you kind of switch to drawing. Put a little highlight. Just it's subtle, but it is there on the tip of the nose. Another one on this nostril. These, by the way, 3 spheres. The 2 nostrils and then the tip of the nose. I really feel like we need stronger light in here, so I'm going to define this a little bit more. And then highlights in the actual irises of the eye. Now here, probably an ink pen would be too heavy, too strong. I'm going to take my graphite pencil and I'm going to do a soft blend from the outer edge of the iris in, just part of the way in. I'm going to do that on both. Like that. And then I'm actually going to take, probably not the blender, but actually like a 10, let's use a 20. And I'm just going to blend that a little bit and leave a highlight sitting right up next to the pupil. On the bottom side, I did lose the highlight on the top side. I had it indicated in pencil. It would be right about here. So I'm going to add it back in. Hard to do with pencil. This is where we might want to break out the white gouache paint. But I'll see how far I can get it with white pencil. It's sort of there. We could probably do better just by getting out the paint. I'm going to put a little dark next to it to kind of bring it out a little bit more. But that gives you the basic idea. Those doll eyes want to have a little sparkle to them. So I'm going to try my best to just bring up that highlight as much as I can, and what the finishing touch would be. I don't have my paint out right now. A little dot of white there and there. to bring that forward. And other than that, we're looking at subtle things, a little bit of light catching on the brow here, maybe a little bit of light catching here. This is where you can really get some fine details. Show the muscle structure on the face. You know, he's not a real person, but you still get a mimicking of the actual muscle structure, and you can see he's really starting to take on personality. I'd be tempted to maybe do an ink line here, but I'm not going to do it. Too strong, too bold, so I'm going to use the graphite pencil to strengthen there and there, and I can just gently blend that in. Even here, just that lower edge of the lip, a little bit of graphite, gently blend it in, and then just take a 10 or a 20 and continue that blend out like that, and you get that nice little accentuation of the shape of the lip. So that's video number 4. I'm going to stop there for right now. I'm probably going to go into this again. I'll keep adding to it in some successive videos.